Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to WCS Winter. It's been a few weeks. We've been busy. I am Katowice, WESG, the Pizza Pie Weekly. So much StarCraft has been happening, but now we have even more StarCraft going to get started as we move into the round of 8, the round robin for WCS Winter. My name is Fear Dragon. I am joined by Nathanius here on the desk today. How are you doing on this fine morning?
I'm doing fantastic, Fear Dragon. You know, they say that legally winter is over, but until George R.R. Martin declares it so, we've got just a few more weeks, and I'm excited to see where everybody ends up after the round robin. We've gotten to the unique part of this tournament, for me at least, that really separates it from some of our previous studio shows that we've been doing, and that just tickles me pink.
Tickles you pink. Like to see that. But you're right. This format is definitely pretty different than a lot of other tournaments, and that's one thing that does make this exciting. It's been a while since we've seen a lot of kind of big round robins, not just with like individual groups like we kind of saw in I Am Katowice or something, but with just the entire round of 8, well, all of the players left over playing in a big round robin.
Rotterdam lobbied really hard to get this passed and pushed through all the tournaments.
It was somewhere in there signing signatures as well, door to door.
We've gotten a good amount of round robin lately, but you know what? I'm okay with more because we had literally 8 years of only GSL style groups. I'm ready for 2019 to be the year of the round robin.
Yeah. So for a recap, before we go into just exactly how the round robin and stuff is going to work, the overall format for WCS Winter is as follows. We have first had a bunch of players make it into the group stages, the round of 32. Then 16 of those players made it into a second group stage, and these were normal WCS groups, but here's where things get tricky. 8 players have now made it to the round robin, so 8 players going to be all facing against every single one of the other players to determine seeding for the playoffs. 2 players are not going to make it to those offline playoffs, but the remaining 6 are going to get seeded into a single elimination, kind of King of the Hill style format bracket that we'll be going over in just a little bit. So a lot on the line. Every single placement is going to make a difference, not only in prize money and WCS points, but also in how far seeded you are into that finals playoff.
All you really need to know is that it's basically StarCraft Battle Royale right now, all right? 8 players are going to drop down, and only 6 of them will make it on to the next stage.
That circle's closing.
It is. That's right. 2 players are going to get stuck outside. It's like StarCraft musical chairs, you could say.
That's true, except we cut out 2 people at once instead of just
you
one.
Just do 2 rounds where you pull out 1 chair. There you go.
And of course, this is that playoff bracket that we were talking about. So as you guys can see, one of the nice benefits here is if you do well in the round robin, you get the #1 seed. Look at that. You are seeded into the finals.
You skip the whole game. It's amazing.
It's nice and easy. You get a bunch of WCS points, which are actually going to help you potentially qualify for the top 4 WCS point holders will qualify for Season 1 at Challenger and stuff. There's, of course, all the money. There's just being able to have a good win at the very beginning of the year. And, of course, again, top 6 players are going to qualify for those offline playoffs. So we will actually have the players fly out here. You get to play and participate. It'll be a good time.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, the WCS format shakeup, I think, has been really nice. We've had a lot of good StarCraft going on lately. GSL, even just last night. No spoilerinos. It's been good. There's been a lot of stuff to watch, and there are going to be so many games of StarCraft being played today, Fear Dragon.
A lot of StarCraft, and of course they're going to be playing for a decent amount of prize money as well. As you guys can see, it's $60,000 total on the line per region, so that's $120,000 total between Europe and Americas. But you guys can see also $12,000 for first place. Even the players that get knocked out today, I think, walking away with about $1,600 if you get 8th place. But one also important thing to note is even though 2 players get knocked out, 8th and 7th place, but there is a difference in the prize money. So there is an advantage in getting knocked out in 7th place versus 8th place. So every single game is going to matter today.
And that's awesome. That's this real spirit of competitive gaming.
It's the right way to do round robin.
Yeah.
Every single game matters.
There's got to be something at stake, no matter what.
Oh, man. And we have, as you said, a lot of really good StarCraft coming, because with the top 8 that we have, the players that are left over at this point, like, they're all just super solid, best of the region players.
Yeah, it's very high quality games. I mean, I imagine European Terran fanboys coming in hot for HeroMarine today. Actually, probably American fanboys if they're awake yet. I don't know. If you're East Coast, you could be awake. 10
East
10
Coast
a.m. on a
might be
Saturday.
awake, yes.
You got your cereal. Turn off Ed, Edd and Eddy. Turn on StarCraft, all right? Saturday morning cartoons is a thing of the past.
Yeah.
It's time for Saturday morning StarCraft.
Well, as you mentioned, there's not a lot of Terran players, but there are a lot of Zerg players, as you guys can actually see. The full player list is visible right here. We got a Laser, we got HeroMarine, we got Lambo, Petit Drogo, Rail, Raynor, Serral, and Showtime as our 8 players. So we got a couple of Protoss, got a lot of Zerg, and then we got our 1 Terran player, HeroMarine. And guess what, Nate? We're gonna look at HeroMarine in that first match as well.
Nice.
That's gonna be our first match on this.
I heard HeroMarine's performance and his performance alone will dictate the next Terran balance patch, ladies and gentlemen. So you better cheer hard for him to lose as miserably as possible. But
that's the Terran mentality.
You're damn right.
So for the mainstream, and I'll go over what I mean by the mainstream, this is going to be our schedule for today. We're going to be going to Lambo versus HeroMarine for our first match over here on twitch.tv/StarCraft or youtube.com/StarCraft. You guys will not have to worry about this because all the VODs will, I'm sure, will be there. But then a Laser versus Rail is going to be the second match. Following that up, it's going to be Raynor versus Petit Drogo.
Get to see your boy Raynor. And then the Night King.
Night King Serral facing off versus the Wall Showtime. Can he break through the Wall of the North? That is the question on everyone's mind.
I don't know, Kev. It doesn't look so good. But
so,
Fear Dragon, I have to say, what about all of the other games that are going to be happening?
That's
in the
so
round
strange,
robin?
right? There shouldn't there be a bunch of other matches happening, not just tomorrow, but also today,
Because there's
right?
not only 7 best-of-3s being played, are there?
Well, you know what, Nathanius? There are, in fact, a bunch of other streamers who are casting those games. And you can go find those at twitch.tv/zombiegrub, twitch.tv/wardy with 3 eyes, because that guy is insane. And, of course, twitch.tv/basetradeTV, and you'll find each one of these series available. So we got a Laser versus Raynor, Serral versus Petit Drogo, and Showtime versus Rail on Zombie Grub, Wardy, and Base Trade TV's channels, respectively.
Break out your 4K monitors, 1080p stream in each corner, baby. Let's go.
There's enough
Let's
pixels
get it
for that?
going. 4 times the amount of pixels, baby.
Here
You
we
can
go.
fit all the streams in. Although you might have to give up some space for chat if you're into that sort of thing.
Yeah. Pull out your neighbor's phone, borrow your mom's phone to load up the extra pixels if you don't have them spare on your
some people have computers now. I just put 4 phones, all with Twitch, so I don't have to leave my bed.
This is the new age, man. People play games on their phones now.
Do they, though?
So, no, you know what? StarCraft isn't available on your phone, so do you really?
Not yet.
Not yet. But of course, guys, as mentioned before, that first match, Lambo versus HeroMarine. This is a nice way to kick things off. Not only because we get to watch that 1 Terran player there, but this is also a rematch from the last group stage, which kind of ended in a weird way because
Remind me. Vividly,
Lambo, yes,
with lots of details.
Lambo ended up winning this series 2-1, but the way that he won it was HeroMarine opened up with this really, really clever build where basically he has a Overlord, Lambo's Overlord comes in. Lambo's Overlord sees, tech lab on a barracks. You're researching stim really quickly. You're going into bio. Viking pushes back that Overlord, immediately cancels stim, swaps the tech lab off to the starport, makes a Raven, throws down more factories, and goes into battle mech, and then beats Lambo. So HeroMarine takes 1 game. And then after that, Lambo Nidus Worm all-ins, and then Roach Ravager all-ins HeroMarine for the victory. So he walks away with a 2-1, but it's like really quick, cheap wins.
Yeah, just going to remind all of you, we've got 2 days before the Nidus is before it goes back to being a normal thing. So we're probably going to see a lot of it this weekend. Brace yourselves.
And we're going to see, is Lambo going to be just trying to leverage that? I don't know if how the games on the ladder and stuff these guys have been playing have been going. If HeroMarine's just going to be adjusting his play a little bit to try and deal with the Nidus Worm now that it's been out for a little bit longer. So there's a lot of questions on my mind about this match. And I do think that these guys are actually pretty evenly matched, 50-50.
Okay. I'm interested to see. I mean, HeroMarine's got his work cut out for him, right? He's the only Terran player here in the round of 8. He's got to claw his way through all on his own. He's carrying everybody's hopes and dreams on his back. And I do think that he'll be one of the players that makes it into the top 6. So this is where you're going to get your Terran fix today, ladies and gentlemen. Do not miss it, especially since it's our first match of the day.
And I think one of the nice things that I was actually talking to Lambo about is that when you're HeroMarine in this group, HeroMarine is the only Terran, which of course a lot of the Terran players are lamenting, like, oh, I want to watch more Terran and stuff. But HeroMarine is going to be that one guy that people say, okay, I have to prepare for a bunch of Zerg players, to prepare for a bunch of Protoss players. Should I spend a lot of time investing into preparing for my PVT or my ZvT? Is that something worth doing? Or do I just prepare mostly for the other matchups?
Do I need to prepare?
Exactly. I mean, it's one of those questions where you say, like, okay, my time might actually be better spent elsewhere, and just kind of wing it a little bit versus HeroMarine.
And, you know, mathematically, HeroMarine only has to practice 2 matchups, right? So he doesn't have to play mirror. There will be no TVT for him in this group. He just has to exterminate the aliens.
Exterminate them, he will try to do as we go on to our first game, Kairos Junction, to start things off. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be moving up into the top left-hand corner of the map, top of the red Terran player from Mouse Esports. He is Mouse's HeroMarine. Big Gabe.
The biggest of Gabes. Over $100,000 in prize earnings. And a very, very European streamer as well, on all the time. His opponent in the bottom right, the blue Zerg player. He is Lambo.
Now, Nate, there is one other crazy awesome sauce thing about today. You know what that awesome sauce thing is?
What is the awesome sauce thing?
Is that we have a dedicated observer.
Oh my God! I don't have to watch Nathaniel's Observe anymore.
By the name Awesome Sauce.
Goodness,
So
I could feel,
literally,
I could feel the balance whining even in his observing. I'm so glad I don't have to deal with that anymore. God, thank you so much.
Amazing.
And well, I think if they tried to make In Control observe, I think he actually just snapped them in half. So he never had to do that. So he
was forced to observe once because my PC crashed.
And the studio actually almost collapsed, guys. Yeah. Not gonna lie, I went under a table because that's what they told me to do in high school. They said that will save you. So I don't think that's true.
Rage shook the building, man. It was an earthquake.
Thankfully, we don't have any earthquakes in the mountains, so not much of a problem.
Yeah.
But it's Terran versus Zerg. It's Kairos Junction. This map, good amount of options for running around. You've got a cliff into the main base. You can send the Reaper there. It's not like Port Alexander where you can kind of get blocked off at the front. And also, all the bases are going to be laid out normally. So, interested to see, right? Terran takes the initiative in this matchup. Terran has all the options at the start. Biggest strength that Zerg usually has. We've seen some of those Roach Ravager all-ins, but maybe the Nidus play is probably harder to stop. It is going to be adjusted soon, so not sure how much these guys have been practicing with it. I think it would make sense to. That Reaper is someone, you know what?
It had morning coffee.
Yeah, I haven't had my coffee. That's my problem. I want to be that Reaper right now. Actually, yeah.
Take some combat drugs.
Sounds fun. Yeah, man.
Blizzard Entertainment does not endorse combat drugs.
It's in the game. No one said what kind of drugs they were.
One really quick note. It's not anything super crazy from Lambo, but his third hatchery did start up before Zergling's speed even got started. So I think he did actually take one of the earlier third hatcheries that you can take. The Reaper eventually makes his way across the map with the Hellions, but it was a little bit concerned about an early pull or something. Lambo, one of those players that is not just going to go for the exact same build every single time. He's going to mix it up. You got to be wary about him, and that's exactly what HeroMarine's doing here, as he then goes into good old Cloak Banshee.
Yeah, this is extremely conservative. He's taking a page out of the old Terran Testament here. Hellion Banshee, and he's going to follow this up with a quicker siege tank, I guess, and some Marines out of that reactor. That's a little bit confusing for me because typically you'll see the Terran try and get stim a little bit more quickly. It seems that he's anticipating some type of Roach or Nidus play because otherwise there is no reason to delay either your armories or your stim to get this siege tank out. And building 2 Marines at a time in this phase of the game really doesn't do anything unless you're trying to fill bunkers. So HeroMarine anticipates a push coming. Personally, I'd say the Banshee does a great job most of the time deflecting that, but he wants to have the tanks. He wants to be double plus sure that he is safe from any sort of assault from Lambo this game.
Yeah, and now we're going to see the Hellions starting to make their way over to the third base. You can see Lambo kind of saving those drones and making some spore cars, but going to let one finish for that Banshee that's going to be making its way in. The Queen's already spotting it out. Cloak about to finish up. And so far, HeroMarine, it's not necessary that you get a ton of damage done, but like you were saying, he was playing pretty conservative.
Yeah.
And so far, it really hasn't paid off.
Yeah, you know, this isn't Terran versus Terran or TVP, right? You're not making pushes against a slow enemy and trying to siege up outside their base with like these early, you know, Marines and tanks. He's going to start a third command center up. I'm still a little bit confused. I don't think there's a world where he can just march across the map and like siege up his 2 siege tanks outside that third and get a great break on this. Maybe he manages to make it work, but it's a paltry force that he's got here. So I feel like just a good amount of Lings with the Queens could push this back, but he's going to try and use the rocks to give himself the cover. Let's see what HeroMarine can get done.
Yep, classic Kairos Junction to put that siege tank in exactly that position. And with Roaches coming out, he will have a little bit harder of a time, Lambo will, of cleaning this up. The Hatcher already taking some big damage, and the drones being pulled off the line, retreating back home. We finally have Zergling speed pushing on forward. The Lings get cleaned up pretty quickly, though. The Roaches not exactly in super high numbers, and a second siege tank going to be joining the fray. Is the front line bio buffer enough? It looks like it's getting chewed through.
Yeah, there's the bios onto the tanks. Going to pick those off. And I think the only thing that's missing here is an Overseer for the Queens to get rid of the Banshees, but otherwise, goodbye siege tanks.
Oh my god.
Just got to pull back to the spores. We'll get the Ravagers, so that's nice, but Fear Dragon, I still feel the same way that I felt before. He got the third low, but he didn't kill it. So
yeah.
70 drones to 49 SCVs, and to do this, Stim is forever and a half away. 1-1 only just now started. The rest of your barracks are only just started. The third orbital is transforming, so it's not even on location. Now, yes, the Banshees are going to provide good cover because it's not like Lambo went straight into Hydras or Mutas. The Banshees will be reliable for trying to clear out where that third base is and kind of defending against any Roach counters. But Lambo's so far been able to do everything he's wanted to do this game without too much trouble.
Exactly. I mean, as soon as that push got pushed back, we immediately saw Lambo say, let's fire up 12 more drones. Let's get up our fourth base. Let's start our 1-1 upgrades. Let's get everything right now.
He's a rich boy. He's a rich boy, Fear Dragon. He's feeling good. So Marines are going to clear out that Overseer. But I always find these situations really stressful when you're going Bio versus Zerg, just because he's gotten the Stim so late. There's no window where he's going to say, hey, there's a timing attack. No, you're going to be behind or even on upgrades at best. So what you're trying to do is, does he even have the armory on the way? Like, you got to try to get for like a 2-2 timing, I would say.
Oh, that's a really good point. 1-1 is going to be finishing up really soon, and then armory does take a bit of time to build, so he's not going to be able to start up 2-2 immediately.
Yeah, I don't think he got the armory, so
yeah,
he shouldn't be able to get extra upgrades past this. Also, Combat Shield has only just started because of how late Stim was, so he's pushing with, 45 health Marines now onto this north side base. Trying to use the Banshees as a distraction. I like it. You want to get this hatch, but man, that is way too much Roach Ravager.
Oh yeah, no way he's going to be able to break that anytime in the immediate future, so he has to back up. Maybe with some siege tanks or something, he could do something there, but it's so difficult to make that breakthrough.
And he only just now starts the armory, so upgrades are really far off. These Banshees trying to buy him a new lease on life. Pretty soft first game here from HeroMarine to kick this series off. Hopefully just
Queens
warming the old hands up. Yeah, do the TLO thing. Do the creative thing. Drop some tumors outside his base. Do it. Well, he wants to drop the Queens on him like they're zealots. Okay.
Yeah. Ooh, the Overlord goes down. It only unloads one Queen, so that not finding a whole lot of use, but to be entirely honest, he's starting to push through. The siege tanks all getting softened up.
Yeah, these tanks got way more shots off than they should have. That was a really big missed opportunity there from Lambo. He still gets a ton of damage done, clearing out a large number of SCVs, but this could have been even worse. Going to throw on the Vials to push the Banshees back, and HeroMarine's going to defend. He still has a pretty, I would say 54 SCVs. You can, there's still it's still ball game, right? He's got 2-2 on the way. 2-2 has not started for Lambo.
It's just a moment where you look at that and you're like, if he had gotten one more Corrosive Bile down on each one of those
on any of those tanks,
or even just allowed one of those siege tanks to survive with more hit points but killed the other two, I actually think he just breaks through and probably wins there. it definitely becomes a lot more favorable.
Well, I mean, he doesn't have anything that can kill the Banshees, right? So there's like a timer, but the question becomes like, how much damage can HeroMarine sustain before he's like, well, clearing this out isn't worth it anymore. I'm actually just dead. And I would say when he didn't get that 4th base, this counterattack really set him off. So here he's going to attack it one more time in the northeast. Gets a queen as another one. 3 queens picked off. So clearing out the anti-air even more makes it easier for the drops to get away, sure, but that base is still chilling. And Lambo, he's getting close to being maxed out again.
Yeah, still no Hydra Den or anything on the way for Lambo. So he is just sticking around on pure roaches, which I think definitely made sense for like the last push and everything. It seems like he just wants to go for a round 2 of it though. And like you were saying, the Banshee's going to be able to add in a lot of DPS as these roaches push across the map. Is HeroMarine going to be able to hold a second time? The Siege Tank's getting taken out very early on. This other Siege Tank on the left-hand side, not even sieged up. The Bioforce is starting to dissipate.
He couldn't get out enough units in that bio, even while that one tank walks into it and sieges. Not enough. HeroMarine has lost that 3rd base once again. And Lambo pushing forward, got the Overseer for the high ground vision, can bile onto the high ground if he needs to. Really the only thing that's missing, as we've kind of discussed, is a true anti-air solution. The Banshees should be able to pick off the Ravagers. But a Terran player who's been knocked off of his 3rd base multiple times like this is not a Terran player that's in a good position, I would say, Fear Dragon. A Baneling Nest is being added. I wonder if that's just to say, like, I want to get through the buildings more quickly and just railroad through. Why not just get a Hydra Den? Just do it. Just get a couple cheeky Hydras.
Probably the one thing that I guess Lambo is really hoping to end this game on that push. You can see that he starts up his 2-2 pretty late on comparative because he did just want to invest into making more units for that second wave of aggression. And he's going to continue just throwing more of these tier 1.5 tech units at his opponent until HeroMarine finally just keels over. And HeroMarine, once again, not siege up, actually is defending that 3rd base. It looks like Lambo's going to pull back for now.
And to play devil's advocate for HeroMarine, there is a tipping point when you're playing Bio versus like Roach Ravager, where the Bio just starts to win stupid hard against the Zerg force. But you got to get up past that 165 supply mark.
What's that Corrosive Bile?
I don't know what he's doing.
He just killed his own group tumor.
I don't know. Maybe Lambo's just trying to style for us. Maybe that's like a
that was his
word.
slash dance.
He just activated a sleeper cell somewhere in Germany. I don't know.
Okay, well, here we go. Round number 3. The Roach is pulling in, and he sees the high ground. He says, actually, that's a lot of units. Maybe I'll just pull back. There's a lot of Siege Tanks sieged up over there. 2 more Siege Tanks also joining the fray. This, I'm kind of with you right now, Nate. I feel like this Bioforce, but most specifically, just 5 Siege Tanks.
Like he could.
This is hard to break.
He could have had Hive already. Like if he had just sprinted straight there after the first big push, like he could have Vipers come out, and then that will deal with the tanks. But just Roaches and Ravagers. It gets worse and worse the longer the game goes.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Lambo still has a stupendous economy, although he's losing a couple of drones here and there. 4 drones do go down to those Banshees. He's still got about 64, soon to be, I guess, a few less, but he's got a really nice economy. He's got a 5th base going up.
And here's that big counterattack with the Roaches. While HeroMarine steps out onto the map, the Vials are going to connect on the Bio, not getting rid of the Siege Tank. Siege Tank's very important here for setting up this siege position for HeroMarine. The Banelings are going to come forward, though. A lot of Marauders up front to soak those shots. Now the Vials are going to come down into the Siege Tanks, and there might be just too much for Lambo out here. HeroMarine's forces desperately trying to rally, but they are not going to be able to do so. The Roaches have made their way into the natural expansion, pushing up into the main base ramp. Siege Tank pops out and immediately gets swallowed up by those Roaches. And another couple of Vials are going to drop down, destroying the tanks, and HeroMarine again refuses to die. Will he finally die this time? GG!
Lambo taking the first game there versus HeroMarine. Well done, and just relentless Roach Ravager aggression, just non-stop. Don't really need any other tech. I think he finally got a few Banelings in there for the final push, but it was just Roach Ravager all day.
HeroMarine got bamboozled hard. Something in that game, and I've seen plenty of HeroMarine TVZs. I've never seen him do that build. And that
super
type,
conservative opening.
That type of a transition that you make is heavily based off usually scouting some sort of early aggression. Maybe he sees that Roach Warren, or he sees a sign, a missing gas at the start, the late circling speed, thinks to himself, okay, I need to be defensive. This could be Nidus. You don't want to build Hellion Banshee versus Nidus. You'll die 100% of the time. If you get out a tank or two, you can play ball with that. The Marines are okay, not at killing the Nidus, but just better than Hellions generally in your main. But to delay his stim, to delay his upgrades, to delay his third for a very weak 1 tank, 10 Marine push, no. Something else was going on here. And I would say Lambo certainly sold him something that he was not actually giving him.
Yeah, definitely some weird either mind games or something going on.
Yeah,
or
something weird happened.
Saying like, I'm not going to SCV scout, so I got to play extra safe. Something was going on, like you were saying. And we'll see if that's going to adjust in game number 2, because now we move on to year 0. Nice wide map. Pretty long distance across the map.
Yep.
So if you want to go for some of those kind of like roach pushes, does take a little bit longer. You can have a bit more time to also get those siege up. To be entirely honest, the end of that game, I imagine a world where that final engagement happens, but the siege tanks for HeroMarine are actually sieged up before the roaches pounce on them. I'm like, you know what? Could HeroMarine have continued pushing forward? It got really close there toward the end.
Well, siege tanks are really, really good against that composition. Maybe if we lived in a world where siege tanks could be moved while sieged or something, or insta-sieged.
As long as we
Fear
give
Dragon,
workers
don't make
burrow
crazy
movement.
suggestions, okay? Okay, all the good Terran units have to have at least 2 to 3 seconds of doing nothing before they can do anything.
I'm on board with that. Let's make Marines like that too.
I want SCVs to have
4
to siege up
seconds
on
stun.
a mineral patch. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Like the SCV has to tether to it. OSHA regulations, of course.
All right, we're going to be starting up here in the top left-hand corner of the map, once again on top of the red Terran player from Mouse Esports. He is HeroMarine.
And his opponent leading the series 1-0 so far, our blue Zerg. He is Lambo.
A reminder that while Lambo is up 1-0, and this is a best of 3, not a best of 5, this is the round robin stage. So that means that even if Lambo wins this, it's not like HeroMarine goes down to a lower bracket match or gets knocked out of WCS Winter. They got 6 more matches that each one of these guys are going to have to play after this. So lots of StarCraft happening. There's also some great StarCraft happening on some of the community streams, such as twitch.tv/zombiegrub, twitch.tv/wardy with 3 eyes, twitch.tv/basetraytv. You can find all the other WCS Winter Europe top 8 players playing on those streams.
That's right. StarCraft action all day long here, ladies and gentlemen. Buckle up.
So for this game, do you want to see any big adjustments here from HeroMarine? Because of course we're talking about the conservative play.
I'd like to see HeroMarine do a real build. However,
real builds.
My fear is that Lambo might actually do something crazy, like try to kill him early on.
Yeah,
but he's getting Zerg.
It's in the meta.
And 2 queens, so maybe not the fastest of all fast Nidus worms. And HeroMarine's just gonna be a greedy boy.
That's a nice big map.
And that's much faster than in the last game. So
how do you feel about? So I know like Nidus worms are kind of the thing on a lot of players' minds these days. But usually when I think of Nidus worms, I think of maps like Automaton, where your main base is so unbelievably massive that it's hard to cover all the area.
But that's not even the point, man. The thing is that even if you knew someone was going to do it, the adjustments that you have to make to your strategy are usually so big. Like, no one wants to open up with Stalkers, right?
Yeah,
in PvZ, but you got to if you want to defend a Nidus worm like super crazy fast, right? If you're doing something like a Stargate opening, which most people would still be doing, like you have to make specific adjustments to say like, well, I can't do this because of this. And if you're playing as Terran, you're like, the only units that you can get early on that'll deal with it's like, do you want to try and get a Marauder really fast? Like two Marauders will stop a Nidus. Do you want to build 2 Marauders at the start of the game versus a Zerg if they don't go Nidus? No, never. So unless you're doing like the Gumiho 4 Marauder drop build, that's like a way that you could kind of work it into a strategy, but that's just one, right?
Yeah.
It's mostly the fear of the Nidus that gets in people's heads, because if you don't specifically prepare for it, it will pretty much always kill you.
That's a fair point. And so far we do see Lambo just going up to his 3 bases, so if he was planning to go for anything super duper fast, Doesn't seem like it's at least going to come out immediately. He's even thrown out an evolution chamber, continuing to drone up pretty healthily, going past 42 workers.
It reminds me of the old days of Protoss vs. Terran, where the 1-1-1 was like every single game. And that build was so good that it created other builds just because they looked like it, like the 2-port Banshee, which wasn't crazy popular, but people stopped building observers because you needed to get so many Immortals out to not die to the tank all in, that suddenly Banshees became very good units. And
that was a nightmare time
yeah,
for
so
Protoss.
you see a lot of weird stuff, I think, in any matchup that involves a Zerg. And I'm sure that we'll see plenty of Nidus Worms today. I would be very shocked if there were none. There's enough money on the line that keeping them in your builds, even though they're getting nerfed this week, is a good play, I would say.
So Lambo did, and of course, and as you guys may have noticed before, invested in that Overlord speed, so has been keeping a continuous scout out on a HeroMarine. So he's been able to see the quick three command center build, so he knows what he's up against. Of course, because he sees that 3CC build, he's gonna just continue droning up, gonna delay investing into, say, like an earlier Bailey Nest or anything. Yeah. And he is gonna go into that Bailey Nest though, so it's not just gonna be pure Roach Ravager like it was last game.
No, I think a little bit more of a varied composition here. So, talking about big differences in HeroMarine's build from this game and the last game, there's two things. The first is that he's still kind of foregone any sort of early aggression, right? It wasn't a Hellion opening. It wasn't even a 2-1-1. It was this crazy fast third command center. So he puts himself in a similar position to last game, as weird as that sounds, but he just gets there a lot faster. So if he doesn't miss his armory timing, he's traded off that very weak tank push for the opportunity to get into just a regular bio game at an accelerated rate. So these medevacs are going to go towards the south side, look for a third or fourth pickoff, and dropping in on this Overlord. I like this, deny some of the scouting there. It does reveal the drop, but
supply blocks his opponent as well. And of course also leaving a few Marines back at home just to deal with any kind of Ling run-bys and everything. So HeroMarine also gets up that armory on time. You were talking about that. So he's going to be able to start up a really, really timely 2-2. Yeah,
this is really good. Baneling speed is not ready yet. So you do a little bit of fancy micro. No! Try to save him. Rip.
Not exactly the ideal micro there, but
those Mariners didn't deserve to go out like that. He's going to re-drop at the front. Just want to deny the creep. It's so important. Good snipes. Good snipes. A few more tumors going to get popped up. You could dive on these.
Gets kind of dangerous,
if
right?
If there's no Baneling speed, you know, you take your chances where life gives them to you, Fear Dragon.
Well, we got another round of the push out here from HeroMarine. This time it's going to be that Siege Shank added in, and well, I have to say Lambo's doing a really nice job of just keeping this little force pushed pretty far back, and even just respraying those two creep tumors does kind of delay HeroMarine, because now he has to go pretty far onto creep very quickly.
He's stimming a lot. He is stimming a lot, though. Need to be cautious to a certain degree. Medevacs are not very high on their energy amount. An Overseer is going to come in and scout out the main, and it will see, oh my goodness, you're building Marines. Well, I didn't know that already. So, confirmed again. This creep has been pushed back solidly so far. It looks like he does want to try and bait this Ling Bane off into where the tanks are, but no. Okay. Did he even bring them over there? He kind of had that army outside. He has just a one tank. Okay.
You know, I mean, you're right. Like, HeroMarine has been pushing back a lot of the creep, but I'm still surprised because Lambo is still got a lot of
Lambo's
creep
still
to
doing
work
whatever
with.
he wants. Yeah.
Yeah,
like
he's got a lot of creep to work with before he actually has to worry about the push.
This whole entire battle is literally over like 5 creep tumors that keep getting killed and rebuilt in the same spot. HeroMarine needs to try and push somewhere else. He needs to try and find opportunity. This is one of the downsides of doing greedy builds versus Zerg, is it can feel really nice to get the fast 3 command center and the double engineering bay, but this isn't Wings of Liberty where it's like all you need to do is hit this timing before Broodlord. It's like the Zerg has a good amount of utility and options now in this mid game that once you get out all these Marines and these medevacs, you're not guaranteed anything in terms of getting a push together or, you know, some sort of, I would say unless you're playing with like a bio-mine style against like Lingbane Muta, but even that we don't see as much. This is more of like a defensive Lingbane into Hive, and we'll probably see go into Ultras just because the Hive is almost done and we haven't had a Spire start up, so it can't really go into Broodlords.
Okay, well, the push comes in once again in full force for the most part this time. The Hydras are also added into the mix, and he's going to slowly start pushing Lambo further and further back, but we got Muscular Augments finishing up. We got +2 Carapace finishing up. +1 Missile Attack also getting close to finishing, so Lambo getting most of the tools he wants, and the only thing he's really missing now is that the Vipers that you were talking about. The Hive is finished up, the Vipers are on the way. He still needs a bit more time to actually get the energy up on those Vipers as well.
Yeah, once he gets the Vipers together, a couple Blinding Clouds on the Siege tanks are really all he needs. You just want to prevent the tanks from getting any, juicy shots off on those Banelings. And then once the tanks are out of the picture, those Banes are going to chase forever against the Marines, or at least until they're off creep, which accomplishes the objective of defending yourself anyway.
HeroMarine has established a 4th base behind all of this, but he really wants to get something done over here. His next game transition isn't 100% set up yet.
Just Marauders up front too, Fear Dragon. So what he's hoping to bait the Banelings. He's saying, bring him over here, let my Marauders soak him up.
There you go.
The Marauders have more range than Marines, and with the concussive shell slowdown, they can be a little bit better at just tagging out some of these Banes. And it looks like Lambo is going to move in. There's the Blinding Cloud on the bottom side. Siege tank gets the other one on the top left. And the Hydra Bane army is going to grow off creep, but clearing out the tanks does give Lambo that retreating spot now. He's no longer being sieged up, as it were.
Yeah, I mean, taking care of the siege tanks is really, really nice. There's still a lot of bio left over here for HeroMarine, and Lambo still has to replenish that Baneling count. So he's got 6 Banelings now, 24 more being added on. He kept the Vipers alive, so he's getting more energy on those as well. So like you said, by killing off those siege tanks, he's bought himself a lot more space. And HeroMarine, even though he's cleaned up the creep, he's having a hard time pushing further forward.
Look at this flank that's being set up by Lambo.
He has a creep flank.
He's going 2006 on us, Fear Dragon, trying to get the Xbox 360 on this army, coming in from the right side. That west flank took a little more time than maybe he needed, but there's the Blinding Cloud on the tank again. The Hydralisks have killed off this wave of the siege defense, and HeroMarine's army will have to run home with its tail between its legs.
Still a ways off from 3-3, and Lambo is not stopping. He's not waiting for more Viper energy. He is going straight across the map and going to put the pressure on immediately, it looks like. Just going to spend a little bit of time knocking down these rocks and charge into that 4th base. And again, he's going to be hitting right before HeroMarine gets that critical 3-3.
Do you ever accidentally attack rocks with your Banelings, Fear Dragon?
Yeah, they patched it to make it harder for that to happen.
One of the most painful feelings on Earth, they say.
Well, it doesn't feel comfortable moving up the ramp through that kind of choke point over there. He's still going to try for it, but he's going to split up his units.
Multi-prong, as always. So good.
Getting some of the production as well. That's not bad. But the Baneling's getting sniped off pretty quickly. The Vipers using that Blinding Cloud, picking off another siege tank here. And now, HeroMarine going to have to defend from 2 different sides.
And this is just so tough. A couple of the Vipers do fly straight into the bio. One full energy, one picked off. I think that's a huge loss. The Hydras are going after the command center, so the army has to fight. And that's where the Banelings really get to shine. Lambo looking to put himself up with a first match victory here in this round-robin group. He's got a lot of games to go, but it would be a really nice start to take this 2-0 over HeroMarine. He's going to push the Hydras straight into the face of the Terran player. And is it going to be enough to close things out?
It looks like it, with +3 Carapace also finished up. Lambo is just making more and more progress, completely unsituating that 4th base. HeroMarine is going to be able to try and land it again, but he is definitely down in supply. And Lambo's got nothing better to do with his larva and his resources than to just pile out another army and go for it again.
Has Lambo lost a drone this game? Has he gotten like any bases like really assaulted? Okay,
He's lost
so
a few
HeroMarine got
drones.
a few at some point, but he really has not gotten much damage done at all this game. Lambo's been playing very well with his defense, and I guess that was just like a drop or a liberator that maybe like stuck off to that side, because I still don't even remember seeing bio get dropped in any of these bases. But Lambo has recharged himself. He's ready to go for another battle. Ton of Hydras here.
Oh boy, and as we end up seeing, the Baneling's having some trouble connecting with the bio, but as soon as this bio has to pull back at all, the command center will get focused down by the Hydras. The Liberator's getting taken out. The bio retreats, and the SCVs, they got nowhere to run.
Oh, goodness. Picks up a bunch of the SCVs into the medevacs, so props to you, HeroMarine, keeping the units alive. He does have the southwest base, but it's, man, this game has, this matchup, this whole best of 3 has basically been HeroMarine throwing punches and hitting smoke. He's not connecting with Lambo. He's done a very good job at tiptoeing around the forces, and I do like seeing the Liberators in full force. He's getting advanced ballistics, so the Liberators will be able to siege from a significant distance away. But that is it's a lot. It's a lot to ask for, because the Vipers can start abducting them now too.
There's plenty of Hydras here. We're going to see Lambo gearing up for another round of aggression. But funny enough, that base isn't even reestablished yet. So he's going to poke in over there and see, oh, your command center is actually not even here yet. It's slowly floating back over. The Liberator's going to siege up. And maybe this will buy HeroMarine some much-needed time where Lambo's not going to try and push in. But Parasitic Bomb on one of those medevacs even tags a couple of the Liberators with a couple of points of damage. But even the medev count is actually not that healthy, as a couple of these medevacs go down at the beginning of the fight. Liberators doing their best to try and push back the Banelings, and Lambo maybe overcommitting a bit there.
Parasitic Bomb's not that good against Liberators.
They got a lot of hit points.
There's no scenario where you should attack into 6 sieged up Liberators. None, actually. None. It's like attacking Russia in the winter. Like, why?
Yeah, just getting up that Greater Spire. So Lambo, he has the next step, and of course, this, for a lot of the last engagements now, HeroMarine has had his 3-3 upgrades. He's really not going to be beefing up his army that much more outside the Liberators in this.
So HeroMarine pulls himself out of his own grave with these Liberators, getting a good siege up position. Really needed just some earlier abducts, I think, to try and trim the fat here on this army before it reached his front door. But now he has to deal with the consequences of his actions. That Parasitic Bomb does hit a lot of the Liberators. Might kill one if he doesn't unsiege, and he does unsiege, so the Libs are good.
Hydra Den's actually over here, and there is another Hydra Den starting on up, but this is going to potentially cut some of the Hydra production for a little bit at a pretty key time. Because this is HeroMarine's kind of potential final hurrah here. He's got to get some good damage done, and so far, he's doing a really nice job.
Well, I don't see Corruptors, right? So there's really nothing that can deal with these Liberators. I think HeroMarine, I don't know how he gets stopped now, actually. I don't know if his army can be stopped. He needs to just try and clean up the bio and then let the Liberators just do whatever. Lambo's going to push into an insane amount of liberation zones.
Yeah, he managed to run past the majority of them, and now he can clean them up from behind.
There's really
with
not
the
a lot of Hydras. I think
he
does get rid of most of them. Okay, well, that was what he needed to do.
He takes a few losses, and of course he loses a base, but you just look at the south side of the map. He has just been expanding in a circle down there.
He unsieged some of those Liberators at a really questionable time, because I was going to say, if a few of them were re-sieging in the middle of that fight, and I'm like, if he had just kept all of them sieged, Lambo was going to walk into a meat shredder. But no, he doesn't.
GG.
Okay, Lambo closes it out 2-0 in our first series of the day here at WCS Winter. I did feel it. You know, there's a significant weakness in that composition to the Liberators, especially because it was Parasitic Bomb being used.
Yeah.
And he did attack move his whole army through what was about 7 or 8 liberation zones, and he still couldn't throw it. So
yeah,
congrats to him on that.
It's one of those situations where you're just so far ahead economically at that point. So HeroMarine had a really scary push in there earlier on where he got very close. He was pushing forward with the Marauders. He was sniping off Banelings. He was doing a really nice job, but eventually you just start to realize, like, oh, okay, it's actually not going to be enough, though. And the sick flank really, really sealed the deal. From there, Lambo just had such a lead. It was just about not giving it up, I guess.
Yeah, he did a really good job. The Liberators were a very, very good choice to try and bring the game back, but unfortunately not able to make it happen. But that's what we were talking about. It's round robin. This isn't like a group stage. There's no loser match that HeroMarine has fallen to. He's going to play a bunch more rounds of StarCraft. He can still come out in first place.
And of course, if you're wondering what the results are of some of the other matches that were happening on Zombie Grub or Base Trades or Wardy's streams, we actually do have some of the results here. So we had a 2-0, as you guys, of course, just saw, in favor of Lambo over HeroMarine. It looks like a Laser ended up losing versus Rainer 1-2. We had Cyril taking a 2-0 over Petit Drogo. I don't think that one's a massive surprise just because it's Cyril. But of course, then we also had Showtime taking a 2-1 versus Rail. Good on Rail, because I think he was a bit of the underdog in that series. But
Showtime's PvP beast. And
I think specifically, Rail was feeling the most confident about potentially beating like Showtime. Funny enough, just because Showtime's PvP, like, he's a beast. but he's also a little bit predictable, and Rail sometimes can craft some pretty tricky builds.
I don't buy it.
He's beaten Showtime in some of the group stages before.
Showtime's my boy.
Showtime is quite good. So, of course, there you go, guys. That's the first round of the round robin played out. We got, what is that? 3 more rounds for Europe and 3 more rounds for Americas still left over.
The circle continues to close, but we've got a few more rounds to go, ladies and gentlemen.
Indeed. Our second match, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be a laser facing off versus Rail. And that is going to be pretty exciting. Protoss versus Zerg. I know that Rail not feeling great about that, but maybe you can make an upset here versus our Polish Zerg player. We'll see you guys in just a little bit.